Welcome to the I Now Pronounce You Divorced podcast, where we have three award-winning family law attorneys dive into intriguing topics like divorce, military divorce, custody and visitation, trust and estate planning, and all things family law. Join us as we provide a comprehensive viewpoint through the eyes of our experts and guests, aiming to educate and soothe our listeners. Get ready to tune in because I Now Pronounce You Divorced starts right now. Hi, I'm Rebecca Melone, and welcome to I Now Pronounce You Divorced. Today we've got Charles Hatley and myself, and we're going to be talking about how to choose the right divorce attorney for you. So, Charles, first, I guess, where does somebody start? If they're like, oh my God, I'm going to get a divorce, where do I go? What do I do next? What is the starting point for anybody who's in that situation?
Well, the starting point really has become online, right? Google searches. And I always, when talking to, family and friends that ask me about, hey, I'm maybe thinking about divorce, even though we have a divorce law firm, I suggest, look, go out online and look at people that you think that you would work well with, right? Our tagline is your partner in divorce. And that was really born out of the idea that when you're going through a divorce, your one relationship's ending, but your relationship with your attorney needs to be one born out of trust, right? You need to be able to trust your attorney. You need to have an attorney that you can talk to, somebody that you feel comfortable divulging all your secrets to, because you need to have that relationship with your attorney. So one of the best places to go is the internet. And Google has a lot of great stuff out there. There's no doubt about that. But for every 5 good things, there's probably at least one thing which is absolutely not true. But the one area of Google that nobody can cheat is the Google reviews. Google is very strict about who can leave reviews. They go back, they search for bots. They look if you have too many 5-star reviews that looks fishy. They're looking for real reviews from verified accounts. So I always tell people, start there. Say, look, I'm looking for a divorce attorney. Look at the Google reviews. Look at what other people said. 5-star reviews are wonderful. We love getting 5-star reviews. Sometimes we get 1-star reviews, hate getting 1-star reviews. But I think what you're looking for is somebody that has, mostly 5-star reviews, but an honest mixture, right? There's no way when you're going through divorce that 100% of your clients are going to like you. And if you claim that 100% of your clients are liking you, you're lying. So that's why I advise people start with Google reviews. That's like the one area on the internet where you really can't lie.
Right. It's like looking at shopping on Amazon, and you see the product that has 1,000 5-star reviews compared to the product that has like 100 and it's like a 4.5. It's a lot more legitimate that you're going to have 1 or 2 bad reviews on there. If you have an overwhelming number of 5-star reviews, there's probably something a little bit odd going on there. Is there anything in particular somebody should look for when they're looking at reviews? Like any sort of feature that that they should look for in one divorce law firm versus another, or any kind of attorney versus another?
Well, most people going through divorce are going through their first divorce if they're looking for a divorce attorney, right? So, it's hard to understand at that point what is important, because everybody says, oh, I want to be aggressive. Or what they say conversely is, I just want to agree and get this done. Both of those answers are generally wrong. I want to be too aggressive, or I just want to agree at the very beginning. You don't know how it's going to turn out. I always tell people we don't want to start out too aggressive, and we don't want to start out giving away the farm by agreeing to everything. So, you don't really know what you're looking for in these reviews, but what's important is communication. My attorney let me know every step of the way. My attorney told me what was going on. My attorney took the time to explain things to me, because you're paying for this. And that's the reality. You're paying for this. You should be the one that's most knowledgeable about your divorce case. Anytime somebody comes to you, you should say, yeah, I talk to my attorney every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks. I know that I have this motion coming up in a month. I know this is what I need to do to prepare. These are the meetings I have set with my attorney. That's the type of reviews you're looking for. My attorney talked to me. My attorney cared. My attorney explained things to me. Outcome, people that just put outcome-based reviews are always a little bit fishy to me. I won. How'd you win a divorce? You're divorced, right? Even a terrible situation, you're probably still going to get divorced. You may not like the outcome, but you're still divorced. Or, oh, my attorney was the most aggressive attorney in town. Yeah, not true. There is, I mean, I've practiced all across a lot of jurisdictions. There is no one attorney that is better at being aggressive than another attorney. There are attorneys who rise to the level of aggression because that's what their clients ask of them. There's also attorneys that pull it back and say, you know what, now is the time for us to negotiate a settlement because that's what my client asked for me. So a great attorney isn't aggressive, isn't a negotiator. A great attorney is one who, in the reviews, is going to say they cared about my goals. They listened to what I wanted. They communicated to me. Because any attorney any attorney should be able to be aggressive, and any attorney should be able to dial it back based on what their client's goals are.
Right. So communication, I mean, that's such a huge thing. You see so much on the negative side, right, about attorneys and communication. So I haven't heard from my attorney in a month. I haven't heard from my attorney in this. And it's like the number one cause for bar complaints. It's the number one reason for issues and other sorts of complaints about attorneys. How do you know, I guess, or how do you set an expectation around communication? What's reasonable? What's not reasonable? What should I be looking for as a new, never been through this, never had to hire an attorney? What should I expect?
Well, you're going to start looking for the communication in your very first interaction, right? Is the attorney talking about, hey, look how great I am. I've won this award. Well, who cares? Most awards you can buy. Let's be honest. What you're looking for is when you reach out to a law office, whether you reach out to them by phone, you reach out to them by email, are they being responsive? Right? When they pick up the phone, do they act like they don't have time for you? I mean, I can tell you, as a practicing attorney, I'll call law firms into their main number and get, hello, can I help you? And I'm like, yeah, I just need to speak to so-and-so. Do you have an appointment? And then it's out of nowhere, it'll click, are you a client or are you an attorney? I'm like, oh, I'm an attorney. And it's like, wow, this is how you answer the phone. Like, I couldn't imagine being communicated to like that if I was paying somebody. And so you're really looking at, how much information am I providing, right? I sign up, I want to talk to this law firm. Or how's it going to work? Do they send me information and say, look, this is how it's going to work. You're going to talk to us at Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and this is who you're going to be talking to, and this is what you can expect from your conversation. Or is it like, look, you should be happy that we're taking the time to talk to you? And, I will tell you, anybody that says you should be happy I'm taking the time to talk to you, it is probably not going to be a good fit when you don't know what's going on. I always tell people, imagine going to a doctor. If you need a major surgery, the doctor walks in and says, look, you're going to need major surgery. Just trust me. We don't need to talk about it anymore. Regardless of whether or not you need that major surgery, it's comforting to know why. It's comforting to know the next steps. It's comforting to know the timeline of everything that's going to happen. And that takes such little effort. I mean, literally, it takes such a small amount of effort to try to explain to people what's going to be the next steps, that when somebody takes that effort, you know that they actually care about your case. They actually care about what you think.
Right, right. So communication is obviously key here. Is there ever a point where there's like too much? I mean, am I going to hear from my attorney every single day of the week, 5 days a week for an hour a day? What's kind of the range of what's reasonable and not reasonable as far as communication?
That's kind of a big question. Some cases require a lot of communication at certain times, ebbs and flows. Like, hey, we have to talk a lot right now, but we don't really need to talk a lot for the next month. But now, discovery's coming due and we should be talking a lot. Mm-hmm. The reality of any law firm that you would want to work with, they're probably going to charge you hourly for the work that they do because they're going to be proud of the work that they do. And so when you get these communications, you may be thinking, man, I don't want to pay for another communication. Fair enough. But the way you should see it is I'm going to have necessary communications, right? If I have discovery due, and discovery could come with all of these problems for my case in the future if not done correctly, I want my attorney communicating with me. I want to pay that small amount rather than have that huge issue at the end of the case. Versus, hey, I'm calling you because today's Tuesday, and I always call clients whose last name ends in G on Tuesdays. Well, that seems silly. But, having the attorney, even when you tell the attorney, look, man, I'm good. I don't need to talk to you for a while. you want that attorney to communicate with you about necessary things, right? If the court sends something, if the other opposing counsel sends something, if the other side sends something, you want them to reach out to you within, I always say, within about a few hours of getting it. But the attorney should also reach out every once in a while and say, look, man, I'm not charging you for this email, but I just want to reach out and make sure everything's okay. We're still here if you need us. Right. And that's what we advise our attorneys to. Just say, hey, I'm not charging for this email. I just want to reach out, make sure everything's going good with you. That way, you know, hey, they're still there. They still think about me, because you should be important to your attorney. You know, there should be, hey, I know that you said put a pause on the communications. I understand why, but we're still here if you need it. So I think that's reasonable, and understanding that there's going to be times, like if you have your trial coming up in 5 days, you might be talking to your attorney every day. If you have nothing happening for 3 months, I would say maybe, once every 3 weeks, every 4 weeks with the check-in is probably good enough.
Right. So you mentioned earlier about the ability to kind of be aggressive or not be aggressive. What about someone who thinks they want to go into like a collaborative law type of approach? What would you recommend that they look for in an attorney?
Collaborative law is something that I think is really being driven in law schools right now. We see a lot of younger attorneys coming out with this idea of collaborative law. And collaborative law, on the face of it, is very interesting, right? It's, hey, we agree on everything. We need some court orders to finalize it, but we can sit down in a room and hash everything out with this one attorney. And if things fall apart, the attorney then cannot represent either one of you. My overarching problem with collaborative law is the attorney can't give real legal advice to either one of you. So you're sitting in a room with somebody who is being incentivized not to get you the best advice, but being incentivized only to bring your case to completion. That's a weird idea, because you may say, look, I actually would be owed X number of dollars in spousal support. And the other side, well, I don't want to pay you that much spousal support. The collaborative law idea would not be to make sure that you're getting the spousal support that you're owed. That's not the collaborative law approach. The collaborative law approach is to try to get you all to meet in the middle to be done with it. So if collaborative law is something that you want to investigate, I think that having an uncontested divorce is amazing if it's something that people can do. But you should start out with working with somebody who only has your best interests in mind.
Hi, this is Dan Cuneo with I Now Pronounce You Divorced. Thank you for taking time to listen to this week's podcast. Please join us next week for part 2.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. If you found this episode helpful and you want more informational content, please be sure to subscribe and join us on all major social media platforms, including YouTube. Stay connected for more exciting updates and tips.